When the Council of Constance convened, it very quickly went ahead with the only matter that everybody could agree needed to be dealt with, and that was the spread of heresy, more specifically, the spread of heresy in Bohemia. How this came about is a bit of a story. Emperor Charles IV died in 1378, and the title of King Elector of Bohemia passed to his son Wenceslas IV, who was also quickly elected as King of Germany and King of the Romans by the imperial electors, but was not crowned as emperor by the Pope, because of the papal schism. In Bohemia, Wenceslas IV managed to alienate a lot of the powerful nobility and clergy of the realm by filling his court with a clique of lower nobility and creating an isolated inner circle. Things came to a head in 1393 when the king ordered the torture and murder of Vicar General John Nepomuk. The story goes that Nepomuk refused to reveal the confessed sins of Wenceslas's wife, and for that he was later canonized by the church as a martyr. The more likely motive for tossing a cleric into the Vltava was John Nepomuk siding against the king's intent to install his own man to an influential church position in Bohemia. This caused open rebellion against Wenceslas, and led to a decade of instability where Wenceslas found himself imprisoned several times, either by his cousin Jobst or his brother Sigismund, who fought for control over Bohemia and took the opportunity to fill their own pockets while at it. The result of this conflict was Sigismund being designated as Wenceslas's successor, and Wenceslas being humiliated, and not exactly in full control of his realm. Wenceslas's focus on his problems in Bohemia meant that he didn't attend to the needs of the Holy Roman Empire. His attempt at mending the papal schism with the King of France backfired and alienated a portion of the imperial princes, and his imprisonment and rebellion in Bohemia led to the imperial princes declaring Wenceslas unfit and useless, dethroning him in 1400 and replacing him with Prince Rupert of the Imperial Palatinate. By 1404, Wenceslas had regained some control over his realm, but now was deprived of the imperial revenues. These decades of conflict within the Catholic Church, and specifically within Bohemia, caused portions of the population to turn towards radical unorthodox ideas, embodied in the preachings of Jan Hus. Wenceslas himself began to show support for Hus, and this would show when it came to matters regarding the University of Prague, founded by Wenceslas's father. The university was divided into 4 nations of students and teachers: the Bohemians, the Saxons, the Bavarians, and the Poles. In the university, each nation acted as a voting bloc with 1 vote on university matters. This led to the Bohemian bloc, which was trending more and more Hussite, being outnumbered. This meant that the university sided with the Pope in Rome and opposed Hus and his followers by not allowing them to teach at the university. Wanting to force the university to drop its staunch support for the Pope in Rome, Wenceslas in 1409 issued the decree of Kutna Hora, which gave the Bohemian nation in the university free votes. This was followed by a mass exodus of German speakers from the university who left in protest and founded the University of Leipzig. Afterwards, Hus was appointed as rector of the university with Wenceslas's support, which is followed in 1412 by a turnaround, when Wenceslas bought an extensive indulgence from Pisan Pope John XXIII, causing a mass Hussite riot and accusations of simony. Wenceslas had some of the rioters executed. As the situation was deteriorating, Wenceslas was growing more and more apathetic. He abandoned all pretensions to the imperial throne when his brother Sigismund won the title of King of Germany. In 1415, Jan Hus, accused of spreading heresy in Bohemia, was called by Sigismund to the Council of Constance to defend himself, and Sigismund guaranteed his safety. When Hus arrived at Constance, He was arrested and thrown into a dungeon. At the trial, Huss was stubborn. He demanded that his errors be shown to him in the exact verses of the Bible. Some tried to have Huss recant and admit that he was wrong, but he wouldn't budge. Huss continued with his heretical arguments. The fact that he had a substantial following in Bohemia only made things worse, as in the eyes of the church he had already imperiled thousands of immortal souls. The council decided to have Huss be burnt at the stake for heresy and his teachings declared heretical. During the next few years, Sigismund went off to travel across Western Europe, playing the diplomatic game, and even participating in the peace negotiations between France and England in their very long war. While in Bohemia, Huss's execution caused a riot. The nobility started to side with the Hussites, either out of genuine belief in their teachings, or they saw the teaching of the church not having land as an opportunity to take care of the land in its place, and the University of Prague started to appoint more Hussite professors. As the Council of Constance came to a close, Sigismund put pressure on Wenceslas IV to restore order, and Wenceslas ordered the removal of Hussites from most churches and offices. Hussite preachers started to preach in the countryside and in the seclusion of hills and forests. On July 30th, 1419, a Hussite preacher, Jan Żelewski, rallied a mob and led them through the streets of Prague. They entered churches, taking part in communion in both kinds, and when the mob demanded that the town council release Hussite prisoners, rocks started flying, and the angry Hussite mob stormed the town hall, defenestrated members of the town council, and released the prisoners. Prague town was now in open revolt. Wenceslas IV, nearing the end of his wits, recognized the new town council, and after years of humiliation and immense stress, Wenceslas suffered a stroke and died on August 16th, 1419. Wenceslas's wife, Sophia of Bavaria, and the Regency Council took the reins of government and ordered soldiers to secure Prague Castle, as Hussites rose up in Prague and started the takeover of a few surrounding castles. The Hussites began to assemble for a diet, at which motions were put forward for the election of bishops and a new king. In Kutna Hora, Catholic miners threw Hussites down a mineshaft, and that is how a civil war began.